Log in now and make your contribution today to support your favorite project at Donate to Islam.
Tell me when to push the button.
You're watching The Newsroom, Islam Newsroom. The news you want.
As soon as you say go,
You're watching The Newsroom, Islam Newsroom. The news you want when you want it, from the Islamic perspective.
Now we have some websites, alhamdulillah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Who is Allah?
Maybe we'll even see somebody enter into Islam.
Excuse me, do you believe in God?
Why do we call him Allah?
One more time, everyone. Okay, good.
these are
Ilaha. Illa. Allah.
And I bear witness. That Muhammad.
That's right, we're right across the river from Palestine, as a matter of fact, here in Aqaba. The new moon, the Hilal, has been sighted for the month of Shawwal.
When the adhan is called, it doesn't matter where you are. You go and you make your salah, alhamdulillah.
Now, I think this is something that inshallah ta'ala will all be able to benefit from.
Log in now and make your contribution today to support your favorite project at donatetoislam.com.
You're watching The Newsroom, Islam Newsroom. The news you want when you want it, from the Islamic perspective.
Now we have some websites, alhamdulillah.
Assalamu
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and you're watching us coming to you almost live from right here in Southern California. I like to say almost live because I know a lot of people watch it in the future. So maybe we're live, and even if we are live right now while you're watching us, it's still 30 seconds later because there's a delay built in. So it's almost live. All right. But all television is like that. I don't know if you know that, but whenever you see them say to somebody in the news, and they're talking to somebody that's out in the street, and they'll say something, and then you see the person standing there waiting, and then they'll say something. That's because it takes time for the voice to get to them. Yeah. That's just so you know that. Now, don't you feel educated? I know I do. All right. Our program tonight. And we want to talk about the Quran is the feature of everything that we're doing right now. So we're going to be talking about the Quran and some of the miracles, some of the things that it has about, and to see all about that, we've got one of our doctors is with us right now, and I'm going to introduce him, and then we're going to play a little short video for you. All right? Ready? Get set? Assalamu alaikum, doctor!
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Looking for another exciting evening today.
All right. And by the way, it should be pretty good because we've got some nice, cool stuff lined up for everybody to watch. Now, we're going to be here for 2 hours, guys. 2 hours, and you can call in. Call in. So be sure you do that, all right? Everybody knows about calling in, right? Is that right? Yeah, all right. So, let's put up the, oh man, I don't know if I set it up right. Okay, here it is. Take a look at this, guys.
Think of a book that mentions about a fact that science was able to discover only 100 years ago, more than 1,400 years ago. Think of a man that mentions about a fact that science was able to discover only recently, more than 1400 years ago. Could anyone doubt that this book is a divine book, and this person is an extraordinary person? The Quran mentions more than 1400 years ago that the universe was expanding. The following is stated in verse 47 of the chapter of Az-Zariyat. With the power and skill did we construct the firmament, for it is we who create the vastness of space. The Arabic phrase "Inna limusiyun" means we are expanding it. The word musiyun is derived from the verb el-sal, to expand. The letter lam, el, at the beginning of this word is used to emphasize the noun or the adjective it precedes, and it means a lot or very much. Accordingly, this phrase means we are expanding the universe a lot. After analyzing the verse of the Quran informing us about the expansion of the universe, we will examine what science says about it. There was only one view that prevailed regarding the issue up to the beginning of the 20th century. This view stated that the universe had a static structure and that it has existed like that since the beginning of the universe. No scientist mentioned the expansion of the universe until the 20th century, let alone mentioning. No one even imagined it. At the beginning of the 20th century, Russian physicist Alexander Friedman and Belgian cosmologist George Lemaitre calculated theoretically that the universe was moving continuously and expanding. This fact was proven through observation in 1929. While examining the sky through a giant telescope, the American astronomer Edwin Hubble discovered that stars and galaxies continuously moved away from one another. Stars and galaxies moved away not only from us, but also from one another. In the following years, it became certain through observations that the universe was expanding. A universe in which everything continuously moves away from one another means a universe that is continuously expanding. In order to understand the expansion of the universe better, we can think as follows. Suppose that the universe is the surface of an inflated balloon. The points on the phone move away from one another. Similarly, the objects in the universe move away from one another as the universe expands. When this scientific fact was not known by anyone, and when people thought that the sun was as small as an apple, the Quran mentioned this fact centuries ago, and it stated clearly that the universe was expanding. This clearly proves that the Quran is Allah's word. That a scientific fact, which was discovered only in the 20th century, existed in a book 14 centuries ago, and that this fact was informed by a person who could not read nor write, can be possible only through one of the following two ways. 1. A human being discovered this scientific fact on his own. 2. This fact was expressed by Allah, who created the universe and is expanding it. The book in which this fact is written is the Book of Allah, and the person who conveyed this message is his messenger. There is no other alternative, and it is not possible to accept the second alternative, for it is not possible for an illiterate person living in a period 14 centuries ago, when there were no telescopes to discover, on his own, a fact that could be discovered only through giant telescopes. Therefore, the greatest geniuses in the history of the world could not draw the model of the expanding universe despite their observations and scientific studies. They could not even imagine it. Then this information cannot be the word of an illiterate person who lived in the desert 14 centuries ago when there was no technology. The book that contains this information cannot have been written by him. Then there is only one alternative left: to accept the second option. That is, this information was given by Allah, who created the universe and is continuously expanding it, and who sent this miraculous information to people through his messenger, Hazrat Muhammad, peace be upon him. And the book that contains this information is his book.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. MashaAllah. And just in time to bring in another one of our doctors for our mini marathon tonight. Here's Dr. Ado. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Dr. Sultan? How are you?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Very good.
Sheikh Yusuf, you ready?
Well, actually, we've already watched a portion of our program tonight. We saw the Quran explained about the expanding of the universe and how it was mentioned 1400 years ago, growing. You know, it's going out. Yeah. And he explained it like it's a balloon, and you put dots on the balloon and you start blowing it up and it starts getting further apart. And that's exactly what the Quran said. And this was not known until in the about 100-something years ago. And then it was proven a few decades after that by looking through the Hubble telescope. The man that the Hubble telescope is named after is the one who actually proved that the universe is expanding. And this is known now. It is a fact, and it's scientifically proven, but it was scientifically proven to all the Muslims 1400 years ago, because we consider the Quran as legitimate as anybody else's witness about anything. Is that right, Doctor?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And also, وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا دَحَاهَا. A lot of people were initially considering the earth be round, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا دَحَاهَا,
that's not our subject tonight. We're just talking about the expanding. We got a whole bunch of stuff, man. We got
وَإِنَّا لَمُسْعُونَ وَإِنَّا لَمُسْعُونَ. You know, the mus'un that we can expand and expand, you know, it's in the Quran. So yep. This is...
We saw that. He actually explained about that particular word and how it is structured and how it works. I was so impressed with this. And I hope, inshallah, that everybody else gets a chance to look at this. By the way, if you're using social media right now to watch our program, please share this right now, because this is a scientific proof. I wanted to, doctors, both of you, I wanted to, first of all, have proper introduction for what you guys have been doing and your work and everything. So I'd like to start with Dr. Sultan, if we could. Dr. Sultan, if you don't mind, give us just a little bit of a brief introduction for you and your work and what you've been doing with this, inshallah.
Okay, thank you for asking. My practice is environmental allergy. We see patients with all sorts of chronic problems where the modern medicine has not been able to offer any effective solutions. Asthma, arthritis, colitis, depression, hyperactivity in kids, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, and many other conditions. You see, typically, a lot of these problems are treated symptomatically. You can take inhaler, you can take breathing medication, you can take pain medication, bring up symptoms, and then making you sicker in the long run. In environmental medicine, our emphasis is on treating the underlying cause of illness instead of drugging you. So basically, this is how I explained it. Let's say you got headaches. If you can find the cause of your headaches and treat it, what's going to happen to your headaches? It's going to go away. Okay, so one is you treat the cause, you get rid of the symptoms. Number two, when the headache's gone, what happened to your pain medication? They go away. So the second thing is you get rid of the drugs. The third thing is when your symptoms are gone, your drugs are gone, what happened to your visit to doctor and emergency room, everything that goes down. So the treating the underlying cause gives you three results: get rid of the symptoms, get rid of the drugs, and get rid of the physician. And this is one of the format that we having in this 2 hours program, that people can call in to any health problem, any medical issues, any difficult things that they are not able to get well, and we'll try to do as our best as non-patient relationship format to give you some advice. Today, so far we've been talking about coronavirus, how it's spreading and stuff like that. Today, we will later on discuss what are the risk factors that predispose you to COVID infection, and what you can do treating the underlying causes so that you can improve your immunity and reduce the chances of getting COVID-19 infection. So that will be the specific thing we'll be talking about as our talks continue. So please stay tuned on.
We got a phone call. Let's take our phone call. Thank you, Doctor, very much for that. I appreciate it. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead. Go ahead. You're on the air with us. Go ahead. Well, I guess we lost him. All right. Call us back. Call us back. If you just called this, call us back again. And be sure to turn down the TV. All right. Now, what I'd like to do is bring in Dr. Adil, because he has a project even that I want him to mention about that. Dr. Adil, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm a board certified cardiologist. Have been, for almost
heart doctor. He's a heart doctor.
Yeah, for almost 3.5 decades now. Alhamdulillah, I've been serving, many patients in different places in various capacities. And initially, I was a plumber. Meaning the guy who opens up the arteries and put stents and so on. And after initial work that got the FDA approval for the coronary stent, this was done back in the 80s and early 90s. But I believe, the whole entire medical approach should be on prevention, wellness, because for the majority of diseases are preventable. Just to echo what Dr. Sultan said, with the proper nutrition and, clean food, water, and air, as well as really getting a healthy habit modification, will pretty much obviate the need to go for expensive procedures and repeated trips to the ER, to the emergency room, and admissions and so on, and then end up people with bankruptcy. And what I've done, I went back to school a few years ago, and I took an MBA, Master of Business Administration in Healthcare Management, have to do with utilization. Have really to try, because I wanted to fix healthcare, because I think we get it wrong. The current system of fee for service is really, prompting people to do more and more to get more money. Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, caller. Go ahead. You're live. You're on the air. Hello. All right. Well, I'll block that caller. Yeah. Sorry, doctor. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish up.
Problem.
Yeah.
So the punchline here is that moving forward, just finished the global conference actually in healthcare, and a lot of people are coming to realize what we're doing is the fee for service medicine is wrong, and it just more and more of billing and more money making rather than actually taking care of people, health, and do the right thing and keep them healthy. Because the money is becoming less and less and less, and people now realize that they have to go back and listen to all the things that they can help their health to stay healthy, and this way you don't end up to go to bankruptcy or to basically go to the cleaners because of the health issues that are largely preventable. So this is now a combination of medicine slash business slash lifestyle, and it's all combined together to offer people a new choice on the menu for their health, and also offer an alternative for people when it comes to their procedures through a global medical tourism. We need to go always back to Allah with His book. We need to always continue to have this connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with His book and the Quran, and with Guidance TV, this ongoing program with the free, again, the word F-R-E-E, Quran, with the English translation, simple to read, simple to understand. You just let us know your name and the address, and it will be shipped to you free of charge. So hopefully that will help the mental health right now with all the stuff that's going around, and
it helps me.
That's exactly coronavirus related stress. So
Doctor,
if you want to print and just to check it out, it will enrich your life, and it will enlighten your heart.
True story.
And will definitely unload your stress.
Doctor, you mentioned two things. You said punchline, which made me think of a joke, and you mentioned that you were a plumber, and you made me think. Seriously. We had a plumber come out here. This is a joke, by the way. We had a plumber come out here. Well, we really did, come to think about it. And the plumber was working away, and he put in about maybe 45 minutes, almost an hour. And when he gave the bill, it was $175. And we said, oh my gosh, how much was that part? He said $5.12. I said, what? That's $170 for an hour's work? I said, oh, man. He said, yep, that's right. I said, well, I know a doctor in Florida, and he only makes about $150 an hour. And he said, you know what he said? He said, yeah. And I said, he's a heart specialist. He said, yeah, when I was a heart specialist, I only made that too.
That's a good line. I believe that.
Did I do it right? Did I get the joke right?
Yeah, you did beautiful. I'm amazed. Your creativity. Creative writer, producer, and director. That's good. Laughter.
Sorry.
Yeah. And I can predict one thing. That you are making less money today than what you did as a plumber. Go back to plumbing, okay? That's my sincere advice.
Actually, a lot of trials that start to come out, I want people to know about it. Back in 2007, it's called Courage Trial. That was a landmark trial, basically comparing stents versus lifestyle modification and medical therapy, optimal medical therapy, and they found out to be the same outcome. It doesn't make you live longer or better. It's just exact same thing. It doesn't have any effect on longevity. And this was an earth shattering at that time, because it rocked Wall Street with all the companies that does the stenting, products, and the wires and so on and so forth. And later on, maybe 10 years or so, this data have been replicated across the Atlantic, meaning in Europe, and same in the United States. So when something's replicated around the world from different operators, you know what? It is true. It is validated. It is have been verified that medical therapy is good as basically stents. So that put a huge reduction on the industry, and realized that stents are maybe reserved for the acute heart attack, to preserve the heart muscle function. And I wanted to be on the forefront of this, and I transformed like I said, into the world of wellness and prevention. And in Islam, al-wuqaya khayru min al-ilaj, that prevention is better than treatment, or they say an ounce of prevention. And we can go on with an apple a day, keep the doctor away, and all that. And everybody realized that it's not only cheaper, it is better for people. And I've always been searching on how could I serve my patient a better way. Now, when medicine hits and transects with the economy, then we know there's something has to change. And so I developed a program over the past decade, and I developed it so that we can offer people a different affordable choice. And alhamdulillah, passed through the legislature here in Florida in 2018. It's called direct, no third party. Just like the way it used to be only 550 years ago, in the largest hospital in the world. It's called Mansouri Hospital in Cairo, Egypt, where basically everybody got the healthcare based on good faith and relationship between the patient and their physician. And even if I'm a patient and I cannot afford the procedure, the good doctors will do the procedure for me for free. There was no income verification at the time, but it was only the word of honor. And there was a story about because I know you like jokes. So this is when someone came and told if it's surgeon, he needs an eye surgery. They said that's fine. So the doctor went back and told him, and we really should learn this. This is very important. This is going to cost you 10 dirham at the time. So the guy said, I don't have money. And you know what? Well, he was standing up. The money fell off his pocket. So the doctor saw that, and he know he was lying. So I said, I'm not going to touch you. I'm not going to operate on you. Because everything was done on good faith, and this was God. So what is the alternative nowadays that I made 550 years later? And I was really looked at and said, this is the answer, direct contracting for healthcare. And I did the years of developing this direct contract, because obviously it has to be in writing. It cannot be just oral or handshake. And people look at it and they like it. They go on and actually in English and Arabic. And now we just want to offer it people because there is definite need, huge need, and people are devastated. And then two important things that we do and I know nobody else does, which is protect the health data, so nobody sells it out. Unfortunately, when we have a third party, they take the personal information and sells it out and make a lot of money on it. And this data could be used to hurt people in their livelihood, in their jobs, and in their suppose I'm I'm a businessman and I have a few businesses and I need for instance a loan. And when people go around and look, not only evaluate the business plan and all that, but also going to look into my health data, because everything's digital right now. And then if they see something that's not there, then maybe use this as a cause, as a reason for my declining the loan. So anyway, the whole idea is empowering patients, do the right thing, keep everybody healthy with this new approach. It's not a plumbing.
Yeah. I tell you something very interesting. When you brought up the subject that either you do this tenting or the medical management with prevention, all this stuff, the results are equal. One time I remember, as the physicians come paid from the drug companies, they give lectures, the physicians. So I was in one of those lectures, and this professor of cardiology, coming from a big prestigious university, he was talking about that how by increasing by stents, increasing the life expectancy and blah blah blah, all the other stuff, you see. So I went to him and I knew what the answer was, but I innocently asked him, so it means that if I have coronary artery disease and if I get a stent, now it extends life, so it will reduce my life insurance premiums. He said, no, stupid, that will increase your premium. You likely to even lose your life insurance. No, he didn't say stupid.
Obviously, that was a pacemaker, and for the company that sponsored him, because there's a lot of factors that everybody has to realize that. But we had a saying in New York City. You listen to this Sheikh Yusuf, it's called Full Metal Jacket. People from head to toe, because when you clog, you clog in the carotid arteries up here in the neck and the heart and the legs. So, but full metal stents, you end up with a huge, bill, and it don't stay open, and it reclogs, and then it becomes a whole new disease that was just created, and then you just chase it down, and they end up with bypass, and then the bypass is clogged, and so it's endless till the patient, unfortunately ends up. So the new approach is prevention, wellness, and start early in the game.
All right. Well, okay, we got to take a quick break here, guys, and I encourage everybody to stay tuned and stay guided with Guidus TV. We're going to have this short opportunity to know more about how you can help us go and grow right here on Guidus TV. So stay tuned, stay guided with
Guidus TV.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
Okay. You're watching the
Newsroom.
Islam Newsroom.
Okay. Go ahead. All right. So Sheikh
Now,
Yusuf,
we have some websites, alhamdulillah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Who is Allah? Maybe we'll even see somebody enter into Islam.
Excuse me, do you believe in God?
Why do we call him Allah?
One more time, everyone. Okay, good.
These are the ones that we're going to be mailing out.
Ilaha. Illa. Allah.
And I bear witness that Muhammad.
And that's right, we're right across the river from Palestine, as a matter of fact, here in Aqaba. The new moon, the Hilal, has been sighted for the month of Shawwal.
When the adhan is called, it doesn't matter where you are. You go and you make your salah, alhamdulillah.
Now, I think this is something that inshallah ta'ala will all be able to benefit from.
Log in now and make your contribution today to support your favorite project at donatetoislam.com.
Back, and we need to get back on the right camera. Here we go. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh, guys. Yeah, that cute fella that you were looking at is Dr. Adel. He's down in Florida, and I got the cameras fixed up right now. All right, here we go. And I think Dr. Sultan is taking a break to go do his salat, his prayers right now. And in, I think in St. Louis, Missouri, it must be time for the Maghrib prayer. Is that about right, Doctor?
I think so. It's 1 hour difference for me, and I think 2 hours from you. So it should be 8:30. Okay, yeah, it's Maghrib time.
Oh, okay. Because ours comes up in about an hour and a half from now, so that's about right. It all works. Okay, Doctor, what we were talking about a little bit earlier with the Quran, I wanted to play this, and you won't be able to see it, but you'll be able to hear it, inshallah. God willing, and the creeks don't rise. Let's take a look at this, all right? Here we go. Let's see, where is it? I know it's here somewhere. I know here it is. Here.
Difference for me, and I think 2 hours.
We would say millions of books have been written since that century. If it had been possible for a human being to write this fact coincidentally in his books, the same fact would have occurred in some other books coincidentally. However, it is just the opposite. This fact was not mentioned in any of the books written by human beings, and even in the books of genius astronomers up until the 20th century. This fact was not thought about by anyone, and it was not written in any books. We cannot attribute the fact that this information was given by the Quran to coincidence. Therefore, it is impossible to say anything other than the Quran is the book of Allah. Only one alternative is possible. The Quran is the book of Allah.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Doctor, what is your take on the, I know you didn't see it, but you heard it. And it was talking about, again, about that expanding, that this is the Quran talking about the expanding of the universe 1,400 years ago, and people didn't even know 100 years ago for sure even about that, and it wasn't even offered as an idea until about 150 years ago. So what was the word for expanding? You mentioned it.
You know that we are expanding. Tawsi' is expansion. So Allah said, "Wa inna," that's the Lord, the God Almighty. He's the one who's expanding. He built the heavens, and then He's the one who's in the skies, and He's the one who's expanding them. So it's an ongoing process, by the way, and it's beautiful. That every day now. The science is confirming what was revealed in the Quran, 1,500 years ago. It's really amazing to see this in video and say, well, this is what Allah's, subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and this is the ayah right there that tells it. And then we see this in so many other things as well, different than astronomy,
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. So the thing that I would really like to encourage, if anybody has a question, if you have any question about the Quran, about Islam, please call us right now. The number on your screen, 1-800-971-4383. Pick up the phone, give us a call. We'll be here for yet another hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes, something like that. So you've got plenty of time. You get to call in, give us your question. And if you would like to ask the doctors, particularly about anything related to the pandemic that's going on, or what we can do about this, some of the things that we can do to build our immune systems, or the things that we should have caution about, they're here. That's why we're doing this 2-hour mini marathon. I call it mini marathon. What do you think about that, doctor?
That's perfect. That's perfect. Couple hours, very focused. We told everybody it's free and open, Muslim done Muslims for all mankind. This is a free service for all mankind, so hopefully it'll alleviate some of the concerns and will help them and help them to be on the right track. Again, this is in putting what Allah said in the Quran in action. That we should be the people who are enjoying what's right and forbid what's wrong. And get your free copy of the Quran. That's it's a 24/7 free offer from Guidance TV.
I don't have that up on the screen, but guys, I tell you how you can remember it real easy. The letter A, the beginning of the alphabet, so A, then the word free. Everybody knows free. In any language, they know F-R-E-E, free. A, free, Q-U-R-A-N. That's the only word you're going to have to think about a little bit. Q-U-R-A-N, A, freequran.com. And when you send in your request, we'll be happy to send out the Qurans to you. If you have more need, like if you maybe you have a barber shop or a dental practice or Well, there could even be some doctors watching right now. Is that true, doctor?
Absolutely. We got the word out to quite a few people, and they made aware. I know it's Friday evening in my neck of the wood, 9:40 local time p.m. So maybe people just kind of sitting down and relaxing after a long weekend. But hopefully it's tonight and tomorrow night as well. As tonight from 9 to 11, 2 hours. You prepare your questions, you call in the 1-800 number, again free, and ask questions. And you get free advice and free consultation. And hopefully you tell
by the
others
way,
about.
I'd like to tell everybody that, that, like you mentioned, the advice is free and it's worth it.
Yes, I think it's a platform, Yusuf, and nice jokes. So that's all bonuses. All these are additional bonuses.
Yeah. Well, sometimes the advice that we get isn't really worth that much. So when it's absolutely free, we can always say, well, it's worth every penny of it.
That's a good line. Yeah. That's a good line.
One of the things that you've been stressing in all of our programs since I've known you, since we've started doing this together, I've known you for a long time, but you have been stressing out to us not to be stressed. You stress to us, don't be stressed, right?
De-stress. Yes, de-stress. That's all the...
don't be stressed, de-stress.
De-stress. Take the minus, removal of stress, take that down. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. We have created the human being in constant hardship. So this is part of our test of life, but it's a good thing. It's worth it because, once you pass the test, you'll have endless joy, endless peace, no hardships. So it's a temporary, period, and everybody who passes this exam of this temporary life will go on to have a permanent, stress-free life. And subhanAllah, if you go back to the heart series, this is straight from Surah An-Nur. Surah An-Nur is number 24 and verses 37. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, رِجَالٌ لَا تُلْهِيهِمْ تِجَارَةٌ وَلَا بَيْعٌ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَإِقَامِ الصَّلَاةِ وَإِيتَاءِ الزَّكَاةِ يَخَافُونَ يَوْمًا تَتَقَلَّبُ فِيهِ الْقُلُوبُ وَالْأَبْصَارُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned men. They're not distracted by any business or sale or profit making from the remembrance of Allah and establishing the prayer and giving charity. They fear the day that the hearts will flip, and as well as the eyes. And subhanallah, today is Jummah, and a lot of people I remember in New York, this is way back in the 80s when people see like a restaurant or a diner that's actually have a big sign on the door, closed for prayer at lunch. So they said, are you out of your mind? They keep knocking on the door and all that. And once they know that the prayer is finished, they come back. Exactly the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, you rush to prayer and you do it. Once you do that, then you go on back to your business and you make a living and so on and so forth. Initially, people did not know. They said, are you kidding me? In the maximum times of sales, you guys close the restaurant to go for prayer. But they realize that when they come back and they understand, usually get a free drink after that, especially in the summer, just to cool them off. And now they know that this is the time that we should dedicate to Allah. We're not distracted by nothing in this world, because we fear that day when the heart and the eyes will tremble and flip out of fear. So if you do that in dunya, Allah will give you, the winning in both this life and the life after. Initially said, oh, you're losing all this business and all this maximum sales time. But Allah comes first. If that's the rule, then Allah will take care of you no matter what. You know, a lot of people have lost fortunes, this and that. Allah will always get you out and rescue. وَيُنَجِّي اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا بِمَفَازَتِهِ. Allah will send rescue 911 to you to get you out from the calamity that you're in because of the taqwa, because what you have delivered on the time. Yes, you could have fallen into this shaitan, you know, hey man, we need extra, you know, bucks to cover bills and stuff like that. But you actually do this to fulfill Allah's promise and order to leave everything for 1 hour, only 1 hour, not a full day of rest, 1 hour of Jummah on the Friday that you go. That's how ila dhikrillah, rush to the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once the prayer is done, then you go back and with your life and hustle and bustle and make a living. Allah loves that. Allah loves that. So hopefully this, none of us will be distracted by business or sales or money from the remembrance of Allah and do the right thing. And we hope that this will be the insurance policy that will protect our hearts and vision from flipping on the day of judgment.
Yes, very much so, very much so. Dr. Sultan, you keep coming in because I think your microphone is rubbing on your shirt again. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, because when Dr. Adol is talking, you can see you instead because your deal is, alhamdulillah. Anyway, we're glad to have you back.
Without a microphone, do you think it'll be okay on the iPhone? I think it should be okay.
Well, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but I definitely I want to congratulate you on doing your prayers on time and making dua for us. I think that I should translate that. You're making prayers for us and praying that God will help us in what we're doing, and we thank you for that. And we welcome you back. So, yeah.
Yes.
And while you were gone, we had something about the Quran. We played it, and we learned more about this expansion of the universe, that in fact there was no way anybody could have understood even the thing that was coming in the Quran at the time, that the people would have been just like, well, whatever. What are you talking about the universe? Because people thought the earth was flat at that time. 1400 years ago, they thought the earth was flat. A lot of people believe that. Also that the stars were just little bitty things, no bigger than an apple or something like that. Or the sun itself, they thought that was about the size of an apple, not realizing the immense size of so many things. And then here is the Quran talking about the whole universe is expanding. And then now they found out that that's exactly true. There are many other things in the Quran, and we'll endeavor ourselves, we will endeavor throughout our programs about the Quran to bring another miracle of the Quran forward and let people study and think about what's being said here, because it's really big. And so I wanted to bring you up to date on what we had just seen, because we're talking about the things that make us feel comfortable. You know for sure there really is a God, and He is a merciful God. He is a loving God, Al-Wadud, the loving. So when you feel that, it calms your nerves, removes a lot of the stress, and then we've been talking about stress today. So if you will, Dr. Sultan, if you talk about a little bit of stress and how we think that the Quran could help people through some of the stressful things that they're going through.
Well, you see, stress is in response to what happens to you, how you react to that. So this is 100% dependent on you, how you're reacting to the circumstances in your environment. And there are certain things that you have a control on, and there are certain things that you have no control on. So where do you get the guidance for the things that you don't have control on? Well, you get to the counselor, or you get to a book of guidance. And the best book of guidance that gives you how to handle your stress, how to handle day-to-day difficulties is following Quran and its commandment, because Quran is a complete book which gives you all aspects of life, how to handle, how to deal with each other, how to deal with a spouse, how to deal with your children, how to deal with your co-workers, how to deal with your neighbors, and how to deal with every other aspect of life. If you follow Quran and its teachings, you can never go astray. You make the decisions based on Quran, your decisions will always be right. Whether you get the right desired results or not, that's a different story. Sometimes people say, well, you know, I did this and did this and prayed to Allah Ta'ala and nothing happened. Well, Allah Ta'ala clearly says that because why does stress comes? Because of something that has gone, we think gone wrong, and we wanted something instead. So Allah Ta'ala says that the things that you like, they may not be good for you, and the things you do not like may be good for you. You do not know. He is the knower of all. Therefore, it's like one simple belief that takes away a lot of stress is that if we believe, and that's part of the teaching of Quran, everything happens for a good reason. We may or may not like at this moment, but if you give time, sooner or later, it will become obvious that this was good for you. Just a very simple example. Many times people are fired from work. Oh my God, I got so much stress on me. But many times they end up in a job which was better than the previous job. You see, at that time, our reaction was negative. But if we had that belief in our heart that everything happens for a good reason, and I trust Allah Ta'ala that whatever decision it was not my choice that I got fired, but the decision Allah Ta'ala has made for me, there is something good in this. I have to work and find what good is in there for me. So this is a major way you can reduce stress.
MashaAllah. I may be excused for prayer and be back shortly.
All right. That sounds like a winner for me. Assalamu alaikum, doctor. All right. Okay. Now, what I'd like to do is put up something that we could all relate to in a way that will make a lot of sense for all of us. And the Quran is our subject, and we really want to focus on the Quran right now. So let's see if we can do that right now. Let me see. Yeah, here we go. Watch and learn. We'll be right back.
One of the issues that scientists wondered about and discussed most. Many theories were put forward regarding the issue throughout history. Each theory was refuted in the course of time as science advanced, and they were labeled as wrong. The theory that is agreed on and is widely accepted today is the Big Bang theory. The Big Bang is a cosmological model claiming that the universe came into being 13.7 billion years ago from an excessively intense and hot point. It was first put forward in 1920 by Russian cosmologist and mathematician Alexander Friedmann and Belgian physicist Georges Lemaitre. This theory, which assumes that the universe had a beginning, has widely been accepted by scientists, especially by physicists, because it is supported by various evidence. According to the Big Bang model, the universe was in a very intense and hot state in its first phase before expansion. That is, the universe was all in one piece. Then it was separated into pieces to take its current shape with a big explosion called the Big Bang. This knowledge, which scientists were able to obtain only within the 19th century, was informed by the Quran 1400 years ago. The following is stated in verse 30 of the chapter of Al-Anbiya. Do not the unbelievers see that the heavens and the earth were joined together as one unit of creation? Before we clove them asunder, we made from water every living thing. Will they not then believe? The word translated as joined together in the verse is the Arabic word ratk. It means fused, coherent, inseparable. That is, this word is used in order to describe two substances that form a whole in Arabic. The verb fatk, used in the verse, means to separate. In Arabic, this verb is used in the sense of splitting something that is adjacent and coming out by breaking something. For instance, this verb is used when a seed sprouts and comes out of the ground in Arabic. Now, let us go back to the verse. In the verse, a situation in which two things are joined together, ratk, is mentioned. Then they are separated, fatk. That is, one of them comes out by tearing the other one. When we think of the first moment of the Big Bang, we see that the whole matter of the universe was together in one substance. In other words, everything, even the skies and the earth that had not been created yet, was within the same substance, interbeaded, ratk, and inseparable. That is, they were joined together as it is stated in the verse. Then this substance broke into pieces through a big explosion. That is, the deed that the Quran defines as fatk took place. The Quran informs us about the Big Bang Theory, which was discovered in the last century, more than 1,400 years ago. Anyone who thinks impartially and justly will accept this. A human being who could not read or write could not have discovered this fact 1,400 years ago. Can a human being have discovered a fact on his own 1,400 years ago that scientists discovered only 100 years ago? Since it is impossible, there is only one alternative left. The book that mentions this fact is the Book of Allah, who collected the whole realms in one substance and who created the earth, the sky, and everything within them through a Big Bang after that. Yes, the Quran is the pre-eternal book of that being. We believe in it.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Well, doctor, what did you think about that?
That's fantastic. Now I'm going to look at from another angle. You know, we talked about that the Earth is spherical. I mean, is egg-shaped. Or we talked about what we were just talking about. All the wonders. You know, you can say all the possibility exists. If somebody's mind idea came, yeah, it just came as a bang. Yeah, okay, it is possible. But when you put, there's always a possibility, you see. But when you put so many possibilities together in one place and say, what's the probability, for example, a sun revolving in its own orbit, and number two, Earth being egg-shaped, number three, water cycle, number four, all other scientific several facts put together. I'm just putting a summary in here. So what is the possibility? Is this almost practically zero possibility that you can have all those facts together described 1400 years ago?
Yeah, you're right. Now, guess what? It's time for us to do another little promo for the channel. We got to do this little break, and we'll be right back right after this, guys. So stay tuned and stay guided with Guided Steve.
You're watching The Newsroom, Islam Newsroom. The news you want when you want it, from the Islamic perspective.
Now we have some websites, alhamdulillah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Who is Allah? Maybe we'll even see somebody enter into Islam.
Excuse me, do you believe in God?
Why do we call him Allah? One more time, everyone. Okay, good.
These are the ones that we're going to be mailing out.
Ilaha. Illa. Allah.
And I bear witness. That Muhammad.
And that's right, we're right across the river from Palestine. As a matter of fact, here in Aqaba, the new moon, the Hilal, has been sighted for the month of Shawwal.
When the adhan is called, it doesn't matter where you are. You go and you make your salah, alhamdulillah.
Now, I think this is something that inshallah ta'ala will all be able to benefit from.
Log in now and make your contribution today to support your favorite project at donatetoislam.com.
And we are back. You're watching Guided TV, coming to you live from our studios here in Southern California. And we're right in the middle of a mini marathon. Yeah. A marathon, usually it goes on for like 24 hours, 36 hours, 3 days, a week. But this particular marathon, we're only asking our guests and host, me, to stay awake only for these 2 hours. Okay, so that's why we called it a mini marathon. And as you can see, we have a phone number up on the screen. You can call in and ask questions to the doctors, to myself, if you have any questions about Islam, about Muslims, about the Quran. And we don't guarantee that we know the answers, but we do guarantee that we'll help you and us find the answers. Yeah, we'll try our best. We do like the chance to talk about our beautiful Quran. And with that, I would like to put it up here just to let you listen to something that I found totally amazing. I love to listen to the Quran. So let's listen to something, and this is to relieve stress and make us feel good, even in this pandemic. Yeah. Already I feel better. I do feel better. Just having that comfort to know that in the believers, we have a heart. Everybody has a heart. But when we think about Allah, that this is going to be good for all of us. And this is something I want to encourage myself to spend more time with my heart thinking about Allah. Let's bring Doctor in to talk about this. Dr. Sultan, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Yes, please give us some insight into how our heart should respond to this Quran.
Well, this is for the for guidance in all aspects of our life. When you have trouble, when you don't know what to do, there are two things our Prophet ﷺ said: pray and patience. And with that also, with pray comes a recitation of Quran, trying to understand Quran and follow the advice given in Quran. That is whole purpose of the whole book and the Prophet, to bring Allah Ta'ala's message to human beings so that they can prosper in life here and life thereafter. And everything starts in the heart. The belief starts in the heart, and then it gets transmitted and gets shown in the form of actions. And this is what determines the good from the evil. And Allah Ta'ala has given us the guidance to do everything, how to do everything right. That's what I was talking about a little bit earlier, that in order to see, there is one thing is very important. Ideas are the most important thing in life. Nothing can happen without ideas. There are good ideas and bad ideas. Where do you get the good ideas? The best book to get the good ideas is from Allah Ta'ala. And also get guidance from Allah Ta'ala. What are the bad things that we do not do, so that we can prosper in life here and life thereafter? Quran gives us guidance in each and every aspect. How should I deal with you? How should I deal with my children? How should I deal with my parents? How should I deal with my neighbors? How should I deal with my employees or my co-workers? How should I deal in case of divorce? How should I deal in matters of marriage? Everything. If you want the right guidance, where would you go and get the guidance? All these main areas of life, simple book, Quran, understand it, implement in your life, and it'll change your life for the better.
Alhamdulillah. That makes a lot of sense. To understand that there really is God. There really is God, for sure. There's no doubt. Way beyond comparing him to anything in the creation. Be sure you don't try to think of something in the creation as a God, even human beings. And Jesus, peace be upon him, was a great prophet of Almighty God, but he was not God. Some people try to say that he was God, but this the Islamic understanding for this is that Jesus was definitely the Christ, the chosen one for the children of Israel. There's no doubt about that, because it's in the Quran as well. But the same exact book that's telling us about the universe is telling us that there is no God beside God. He is really uniquely one. And he has no associates whatsoever. No daughters, no sons, no father, no mother, no aunts, uncles, grandparents. That is not God. So we want to be sure you get that, because once you understand it, then you'll be talking directly to God and not to something he created. With this connection, you'll be opening up many, many doors for your mind and your heart to relax and feel the stress going way out, just far away from you. Even some of the most catastrophic things that happen in the life of a human being, the heart of the believer finds solace in the fact that there really is God, and he is behind what's happening. And ultimately, everything works for good for the true believer. This is a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and peace and blessings be upon him. He told us without doubt that this is the condition of a true believer. He said, and they've given us a little bit of understanding here. He said that whenever something good comes to the way, or it's the things that the believer wants, all right? Because we will say everything works for good. That's also in the Bible, in the book of James, chapter 38, verse 8. Yeah, trust me. This is not a new religion whatsoever, but it is clarification of some of the things that got mixed up in former times. Let's just leave it at that, and not putting the blame on anybody or any group. Just say that we have the clarification, and this is exactly the Quran coming to us, explaining to us, relaxing our hearts, relaxing our minds, and letting us know for sure there really is God. Now I want to listen to the Quran one more time in the very next verse. That was Surah Ra'd, chapter 13, verse 28. I want to go to verse 29 right now, and let's listen to this. I just got word that we didn't have any audio on all of that. So sorry, guys. We could hear it fine over here, but I'm sorry that when we have a technician that can do all of these things, that'll be great. In the meantime, you're having to put up with me pushing the wrong buttons and mixing everything up really bad. Really sorry for that, guys. Dr. Sultan, I'm going to check it back over to you, and just what we were listening to is again about how our hearts can find the ease and understanding and feel good about everything in our life, regardless of all the things going on around us. Give us an example of somebody, just any person or somebody that, without mentioning names of course, but some that they thought something, but then it worked out to be good. They were stressing out for nothing.
Well, I mean, instead of giving somebody's example, we can all look in our lives. I can look on my life and see that it has not been a free ride from the birth up until my age. I have suffered various things. For example, one of the things which Allah Ta'ala, I call it Allah Ta'ala's blessing, is, you know, as we talk about, every adversity has a seed of equal and better benefit attached to it, but it's up to you to find it. The way I'm board certified in pediatrics, the way I got involved into environmental medicine was that at my prime age, about 41 years or 42 years ago, I developed severe asthma. So what I did, I was talking about, like I was always taught to treat patients with drugs. So my doctor gave me various inhalers, and I was taking 6 medications, and I was very, very sick. I did not know where to turn to. I used to pray to Allah Ta'ala to please get me out of this misery, but I did not know until one day I got a brochure from the American Academy of Environmental Medicine talking about new methods of allergy testing. I'm going to details, but the point is, I went there, learned from them that they were talking about that why do you treat asthma with inhalers and breathing medications? You can treat the cause. when I was able to treat the cause, I was able to get all my 6 different breathing medications. That was 41 years ago. And since then, I've not needed. That's how I incorporated, I learned my own personal experience of adversity, that there is something that is treating an underlying cause. So Allah Ta'ala opened that path for me. And since then, I have been able to help so many people with the blessing of Allah Ta'ala, that they come with all sorts of chronic illness. We look for the underlying cause, treat the cause, they get away happy, no drugs, no nothing. So I can tell you, I have gone through those adversity, and other family tragedies. We've gone through that, but every time where I found myself relief was in teaching the Quran and Hadith, coming to that, praying to Allah Ta'ala, and praying to please get me out of trouble. And I'm so glad to tell you that I have always been successful by the grace of Allah Ta'ala, that I, at this age of 74, I'm enjoying good health. I have a lot of peace and tranquility. And the other day we were talking about, what do you think your anxiety or stress level on 1 to 10? I would say 0, because I pray to Allah Ta'ala always to give me guidance in all directions.
MashaAllah, that's a very good idea to do that. Dr. Adil is back with us. Doctor, we've been talking about the stress that we can get rid of by listening to the Quran. So I put the Quran on for everybody to listen to, and then I got a call from the technician. He said there's no sound. So I put up 2 or 3 minutes of no sound. But I don't feel any stress. Do you?
I remember I've been through all kinds of situations where I had to have like 500 people, standing room only presentation in a school when I was there, and then all of a sudden the internet wasn't working, and all the presentations went down, and everybody was almost panicking and this and that. So I just tell them, listen, I'm used to the old-fashioned way, so I'm going to tell you what in the slides, and everybody start laughing and joking and all that. And then 15 minutes later, the internet came, and then we were able to play it. So see, guys, Allah, God is testing us throughout the whole thing, and we just tell them, you just have to stay cool and and move on.
Well, I'm going to try one more time to put this up, and let's see what happens this time. Okay, guys, listen carefully. This is about the Quran. This is going to be talking about the Quran. So pay attention, and share this. If you're on social media right now, share this. Share this right now.
Verse 22 of the chapter of Al-Hijr of the Quran gives us the following news 1400 years ago, when the importance and meaning of fecundating was not known. And we send the fecundating winds. Yes, this verse clearly states that winds have a fecundating property. What do scientists say about this news given by the Quran? Let us find out. Scientists state that winds have a fecundating property as follows. There are male and female elements in the flowers of all plants. Fruits occur when the male element fecundates the female. This fecundation takes place thanks to wind. Allah created the seeds of many plants so light as to fly in the presence of even a very light breeze. Pollens, dusts, and seeds of innumerable plant species are carried from one plant to another through winds. Thus, the plants reproduce through fecundation, and their generations are ensured to continue. That is, plants reproduce thanks to the fecundating property of winds. Apart from fecundating plants, winds also fecundate rain clouds to make rain fall down. Until recent times, it was thought that the only relationship between wind and rain was that winds dragged rain clouds. Yes, it was something that could be seen by anyone who watched the movement of the clouds. However, the relationship between wind and rain was not only this. Air bubbles called aerosols form on the surface of seas and other waters due to foaming. They mix with the dust that winds drag from the land and fly toward the upper layers of the atmosphere. These particles, raised by winds, combine with water vapor, and the water vapor condenses around these particles. If it were not for these particles, 100% water vapor could not form clouds. Clouds form when winds fecundate the free water vapor in the air with the particles they carry. After these explanations of science and scientists, let us analyze the issue and find answers to the following questions. 1. When was it discovered that winds had a fecundating property? Answer. It was discovered in the 20th century. 2. Is it possible for a person who could not read nor write to discover this fact 1400 years ago, that which was only discovered in the 20th century? Answer. It is impossible. Only an insane person can claim that it is possible. 3. How can it be explained that the fact that winds have the property of fecundating is mentioned in the Quran if it is not accepted that the Quran is the word of Allah? Answer. It cannot be explained in any way. If the Quran is not accepted to be the word of Allah, neither this information given by the Quran nor any of the other scientific facts can be explained. There are two ways: to accept that a human being who could not read or write knew and discovered 14 centuries ago on his own that winds have the property of fecundating and all of the other scientific facts stated by the Quran, or to say, the Quran is the book of Allah. All of the news within it is the word of Allah. There is no other possibility. No sane person can accept the first probability, for it is impossible for a human being to know and discover them on his own. Then there is nothing else to do but to accept the second possibility. This book is the book of Allah, who is Alam al-Ghuyub, the knower of all unseen and unknown things. Yes, this book belongs to the same person who created winds and gave them the duty of fecundating. Everything within this book belongs to him. We believe in and accept it.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. The only thing, Dr. Adil, you're back with us, mashallah, and I'm happy that you're here for this, because there is one thing that I heard in there. It said the only person, and Allah is not a person, and he doesn't compare to people. Am I wrong or right in saying that?
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no comparable, anything. Has no, anybody can even, come to imagination. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above and beyond our scope of thinking how it is. But the Quran is kind of giving this hammering this message about the belief system, the unseen. And I know you emphasize this a lot in Surah Al-Baqarah, that you know that Allah's there because everything else around us and us, وَلَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ Look at yourself, look at ourselves, and look at the hands, the eyes, the senses, and endless signs of Allah's presence and power and majesty in us and around the globe and universe, what we know and what we don't know. And subhanallah, the more you read in the Quran, the more you ponder and get to know this. It really affirms your belief, and it makes it fix in your heart. And if you don't mind, I have this heart series continue on in the day of Jummah.
Well, I wanted to ask you a question before we get away from this, because I heard a word tonight that I'm not familiar with, and maybe you could give us some clarity on that.
Sure.
Fecundating. I don't know what that means.
Say it again.
He talked about the wind has a fecundating property, that it blows the buds of the flowers and the trees and everything.
Okay. I see what you mean. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he mentioned, I was listening, from each species there's a male and female, and the way that Allah drives the wind so that the pollens can inoculate or fertilize, if you would, the female part, and that's where the flowers or the crops, or basically the birth or the creation of different plants and different species takes place. Allah directs the wind so that it will throw the pollens or sperms, if you would, the male component into the female component, and through that union, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gets this miracle in various species.
So basically, this is the wind that helps the trees have sex.
Pretty much, in simple plain English.
Okay, now I got it. All right. Well, I didn't know what. You guys, see, that's what happens. You go to college too much. You use these big words, and then a normal person can't even figure out what you're talking about. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is Jummah. So Jummah, 2 reminders for everyone. Friday, this is the day that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created Adam. This is the day that Adam left paradise. This is the day of judgment. So Friday, there's a specific prescription to protect against the Antichrist, which is a Surah Al-Kahf. The first 10 surahs, ayah at least of Surah Al-Kahf, will give you the protection. This is your insurance policy from Masih al-Dajjal or the Antichrist. So make sure that on every Friday, Surah Al-Kahf, at least 10 ayahs, that's a must. And then also make sure that you make a lot of salam, on the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And on the Jummah, Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad. There is an appointed angel for the remainder of the week that if you make salat and taslim al Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may peace and blessings be on our beloved Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. If you do that, it go through an angel, and the angel presented to Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. But on Friday, out of all days, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam takes that directly from us to him. There is no intermediary angels on Friday. It's like the angel is off on Friday. So subhanallah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam loves each and every one of us to have this connection with him. And he's our beloved Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. He loves that connection with him. So make sure that you, whatever remaining hours of Friday, say Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad. You recognize it directly. And the first 10 ayah of Surah Al-Kahf will give you insurance protection from the illusion of Antichrist. When people are confused and this and that, you'll have a clear vision. You'll not be touched by harm because of this insurance policy. And in Surah Ash-Shu'ara, continuing the Heart series, verses 89. This is the Surah number 26. وَلَا تُخْزِنِي يَوْمَ يُبْعَثُونَ يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. Oh Allah, do not disappoint me on the day of the resurrection, and a day that there's no money or children. I have sons and daughters and the big family and all that. إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ. They're not going to be of any avail or help at that time. Only man أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ, whoever comes to Allah back with a clean heart. the concept of clean, intact heart. It's over emphasized in so many ayat in the Quran throughout the theme. That's where the part of the flesh that ibn salahat Rasulullah said salah al jasad kullu. If it's pure and clean and intact, then Allah subhanahu and free of disease, envy, hatred, all that we took, not only the physical coronary artery disease or heart disease, but also the mental and spiritual diseases as well. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Shu'ara verses 194, mention about the Quran. وَإِنَّهُ لَتَنزِيلُ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ نَزَّلَ بِهِ الرُّوحُ الْأَمِينُ. So this Quran has descended directly from the Lord of the worlds, and it came through Angel Gabriel, ala qalbika, on the heart of our beloved Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, litakuna min al-mundirin, so that you'll be among those warners to warn all mankind. And what happened? What language? بِلِسَانٍ عَرَبِيٍّ مُبِينٍ, with an eloquent Arabic tongue. وَإِنَّهُ لَفِي زُبُرِ الْأَوَّلِينَ. And then it is confirming what previous messages in the Torah and the Gospel have come to the nations before Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it's the same continuation, and this is the last version, if you would, and I'll tell this a lot of people. If you have a Microsoft version, this is the last version, that supersedes all previous versions, of the previous books, including the Torah and the Bible. So, and in the same, Quran, and Surah Al-Shu'ara in verse 200, كَذَلِكَ سَلَكْنَاهُ فِي قُلُوبِ الْمُجْرِمِينَ. We could put the same book in the hearts of the criminals. This their punishment. لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِهِ حَتَّى يَرَوْا الْعَذَابَ الْأَلِيمَ. They were not going to believe in the Quran till they see the torture, the painful torture. And this is a very kind of a awakening, a message. If Allah loves someone, will guide them to Islam, and will expand their chest and relax their heart and mind, and assure their will give their heart to peace and tranquility. And if Allah puts the same Quran in the hearts of the mujrimeen, with the criminals, that لا يؤمنون به, they will not believe in it till to that moment, حتى يروا العذاب الأليم. You will just keep that till they see the torment. And this is a sign of disbelief of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, we kind of mentioned that before in previous ayat, but this is a very eloquent kind of presentation. Allah said it in Surah Al-Qasas, and really, there are some surahs in the Quran, like Surah Yusuf and Qasas and stories. These stories. This is all 3D animation. وَأَصْبَحَ فُؤَادَ مُوسَى فَارِغًا. Can you believe an empty heart? Farigh, if you bring a pot, of coffee, and this is not farigh, this is an empty pot. How could you have the heart empty? So this is a reflection of the severe sorrow and sadness from the mother of Musa alayhi salam. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told her, فَإِنْ خِفْتِ عَلَيْهِ, if you worried about him, فَأَلْقِيهِ فِي الْيَمِّ, throw him in the Nile. What? If you say that to any mom right now, I'm going to throw my kid in the Nile, in the crib. Are you out of your mind? I'm going to throw him to die? But it is the true belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then what happened? إِنْ كَادَتْ لِتُبْدِي بِهِ لَوْلَا أَنْ رَبَطْنَا عَلَى قَلْبِهَا. She was almost going on the verge of going to panic mode. And this is very important for everybody. And Allah will intervene at the point of breaking down if you hang on to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لَوْلَا أَنْ رَبَطْنَا عَلَى قَلْبِهَا. And the word in Arabic, rabat, is the tie. It's like almost putting a band-aid on her heart. That's the best way to translate. Just like the Sheikh Yusuf said about the trees, a few minutes ago. This is the same analogy. Allah would put almost a band-aid on her heart to give her calm and soothe her heart, so she would not have this sadness for losing her baby. And why is that? لِتَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, so that she will be among the believers. And very, very important, conversely, Allah will put this كَذَلِكَ يَطْبَعُ اللَّهُ عَلَى قُلُوبِ الَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Surah Rum, verses 59. Allah will put this stamp. And so many ayahs that mentioned before, the طَبَعَ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ, have the bad stamp, bad person. on their heart. They will have a seal on their heart that says, that they will not be able to comprehend, they will not be able to understand, ponder, and it will be like almost blocked. Whatever the guidance in the Quran will not reach their hearts. So they'll be heedless. They will be worse than the status of animals, because they have eyes that they don't see with, they have ears that they don't hear with, they have hearts that they don't feel with. And hum kal an'am, they will be on the status of animals, or even worse than that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave this reminder to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and hang in there, even in the time where a mom, for instance, the mother of Moses, have been tested to throw her baby in the river, in the crib, in the Nile, so that this baby will go into the house and raised in the house of Pharaoh, who is killing all the babies, male babies at the time. It's kind of when people look at it, are you out of your mind? Are you crazy? You do this? But when it comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَأَوْحَيْنَا, Allah give this revelation to Musa, do that. And فَإِنْ خِفْتَ عَلَيْهِ, don't worry. إِنَّ لَرَدُّهُ إِلَيْكَ, we're gonna bring it back to you. And Allah will put this calmness on her heart, a band-aid on her heart, that she will not go into panic and will not go into an anxiety because of losing her baby. The more and more ayat that relates to the heart and different situation where the heart is being tested and being described. You could have an air heart, which is basically full of air, meaning there is no iman, there is no comprehension. They could have the heart that is so hardened that worse than the rocks. And some of the rocks actually will, crumble and degenerate, and they'll have rivers go through it, and even the mountains will basically tremble and will break down from the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then there's some dead hearts that they don't get. Go ahead with your phone. Jazakallah khair.
All right, we have a caller here on the air. Go ahead, caller. You're live on the air. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. I had a point I wanted to make. There's an ayat in the Quran that talks about Allah's halam, Allah's pen, and that if all the seas of the world became ink, they would still run dry. And Allah's majesty and amount of data He can handle is so much. So I like to talk about it as Allah's database. If you think about it, mashallah, what capacity Allah has given, maybe through the angels, that all the 7 billion people in the world and all the people in the past, with all the thousands of languages, and yet when we reach Akhirah and our deeds are being judged, all of that data is recollected along with our intentions, which I think is, I'm in computer science, by the way, that's what I do. And I think from that perspective, I know it's not healthcare or medicine, although it could be applied to the brain, that subhanAllah, Allah can process all of that data and to an atom's weight worth of accuracy. So I think that's just one of the things I thought about, that the verse of the Khalam can be interpreted to mean that Allah can process more data than we can imagine. And that just goes towards His majesty. And I just wanted to make that point about that verse, about the Khalam and the seas.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much for that. Jazakallah khair. MashaAllah.
It's in Surah Al-Kahf, verses 109. قل لو كان البحر مدادا لكلمات ربي لنفد البحر قبل أن تنفذ كلمات ربي ولو جئنا بمثله مددا. Say Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to mankind, if the sea were ink for writing the words of Allah, surely the sea would be exhausted before the words of Allah would be finished, even if we were brought another sea like it for its aid. So yes, you talk about gigabytes, and all kinds of, huge amount of data and so on, but this is beyond imagination of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala worded are.
Okay, we got to take a short break, and we'll be right back right after this, guys. I want you to encourage everybody to stay tuned and stay guided with
Guide Us TV.
Ah.
You're watching The Newsroom, Islam Newsroom. The news you want when you want it, from the Islamic perspective.
Now we have some websites, alhamdulillah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Who is Allah?
Maybe we'll even see somebody enter into Islam.
Excuse me, do you believe in God?
Why do we call him Allah?
One more time, everyone. Okay, good.
These are the ones that we're going to be mailing out. Ilaha. Illa. Allah.
And I bear witness. That Muhammad.
That's right, we're right across the river from Palestine, as a matter of fact, here in Aqaba. The new moon, the Hilal, has been sighted for the month of Shawwal.
When the adhan is called, it doesn't matter where you are. You go and you make your salah, alhamdulillah.
Now, I think this is something that inshallah ta'ala will all be able to benefit from.
Log in now and make your contribution today to support your favorite project at donatetoislam.com.
You're watching The
Before looking at the scientific miracle which will be discussed in this proof, we want to give some information about the Arabic language. With the help of this information, the scientific miracle to analyze will be understood better. The words in the Arabic language are divided into two categories in terms of gender. The words that are used for female beings are called mu'unes, feminine. The words that are used for male beings are called muzakkar, masculine. In Arabic language, things are either mu'unes, feminine, or muzakkar, masculine, whether they are animals, plants, objects, or verbs. So, in Arabic, verbs are also divided into two as female or male. When the doer of a sentence is male, the verb is conjugated as masculine, and when the doer of the sentence is female, the verb is conjugated as feminine. That is, there is coherence between the verb and doer in terms of gender. After this information, now let us pay attention to the verses 68 and 69 of the chapter of An-Nahl.
You're watching
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Yes, I was just wanting to get into that pronunciation, if you don't mind, Doctor. When
Sure.
he said pronouncing the Z sound instead of B sound, how do we compensate for that?
Sure. So he was talking about mudhakkar. Mudhakkar is the masculine. Mu'annath is the feminine. And
but he used the S sound instead of the sound.
Okay. So there's two separate areas that comes back from the throat, for the S sound and the sound. You're close, but not that close. Sometimes there are other what's called point of exit to the letter that comes out very close to each other, and it makes a little challenge, but it comes with practice. That ain, ghin, for instance, ha, ha, and the only answer to that, is practice. And right now, there's basically blessings because everything's free on YouTube. I know Sheikh Nouman Ali has, learning Arabic for non-Arabic speaking. And there's now Qalam Institute. There's so many out there that they do this free on YouTube that you could you could just go ahead and practice. I know.
What about ArabicandEnglish.com, our website?
That's right, ArabicandEnglish.com. Since Sheikh Yusuf is here, and I don't want to get in trouble. You know, it's like Richard was asking the other day. He called me and I said, you know, I have this difficulty, and they say, this is ha. You know, it's an H sound like Harry, house. You know, and then ha. You know, and they say Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. So ha and ha, there are two close exits, but the only way to really make that differentiation is by practice. And the more you practice and rehearse it, and now there's you know, all these programs from your mobile phone that you could do it while you're driving and just keep repeating it, it'll come as a second nature. Because the tajweed is an exercise, the gym, if you would, for the jaw, the mouth, the lips, and the tongue. And between those four ups, you say ooh, you know, make all these sounds like you know, bursting the lips. That's a ooh, dhamma, ah, fatha, you know, when you open it, e, and when you do the e sound or kasra, you lower the jaw a little bit. It has to go down a little bit. Now, I myself going with Arabic tongue and all that, but unless and until I go to the gym and do the tajweed exercises, I'm not going to get the word out right, and the letters will not going to give each letter its haq. Each letter has a right on every and each one of us to do their best to pronounce it right, exactly like the way Jibreel alayhi salam has, you know, delivered the Quran to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this is the amana that has to go on to the Day of Judgment.
Yeah,
so the each sound,
you mentioned. Thank you, Jazakallah khair, so much. I really appreciate getting clarification about the pronunciation and why some of us we pronounce it with the instead of the, and za instead of wab. And there's
I'm impressed. You've done some exercise. You went to the gym. I can see
30 years. Come on, I gotta pick up something. Yeah.
You know, 30 years with effort. It's not only the timing, but time and effort.
Yeah, you're right. You are right, because there are people that have been Muslim all their life and they still mispronounce stuff, and it's simply because they didn't go to the gym.
They took it for granted. They took it for granted. You cannot take anything for granted. You have to earn it.
That's true. That's true. I wanted to clarify something else for our viewers. We talk about so many things in our programs, but some of the times Muslims, I'm talking about the Muslims, will have a tendency to think that what they've heard all their life is correct. But if you don't analyze, if you don't take the time to really go to scholars and ask and sit with them and think about this, you might be making some big mistakes, and even something could twist in your life from one word. Let me give you an example. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we heard it several times in our presentation tonight, being that he is unlettered or he is illiterate. Is that right? We heard that, right?
Yes, Nabi al-Ummi. That's correct.
Yeah, Dr. Sultan, you heard that too, right?
Well, I heard that too, but you know, the way we transcribe in English, it sounds very bad. You see?
Well, that's not my point. I understand what you're saying, but that's not the point. The point that I'm trying to get across is that some people even made up a hadith that is not true. It's not true at all. And what they said was that whenever the revelation is coming to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he said that he is Ummi. They made this up. This is not what he said. He never said Ana Ummi. And I heard that so many times, and I was told that that was a hadith, and then come to find out that's not a hadith. So this is very dangerous, because what he really said was, Ma ana bikari. Ma ana bikari means I am not a qari. I'm not a reciter. And the why we want to focus on that is because if somebody thinks for a minute that he has to clarify to the angel Gabriel that he doesn't know how to read and write, that means the God that sent him with the message doesn't know what's going on either. And it opens up a wide door for people to come in and say this and that and so and so. And over the centuries, that's exactly what has happened in the English language. Now, in the Arabic, you're not going to make that mistake because you know that ma ana bi qari is related to the word, qari is related to the word Quran and iqra. All of these are recite, recite, recite. So whenever the angel comes to the Prophet ﷺ, he doesn't say read. And then the Prophet ﷺ doesn't say, I'm not a reader. He said, the fake hadith, they said that ana ummi, I'm illiterate. He didn't say that. What happens is the angel's coming to him and asking him to recite. And he's saying, I'm not a reciter, because at that time, in those places of the Arabs at that time, they really focused on their poetry and their ability to recite from memory because they didn't read or write, and they had some very beautiful poetry. And let's just ask about that. Maybe I'm wrong, Doctor.
Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent, بِلِسَانٍ عَرَبِيٍّ مُبِينٍ, with an eloquent Arabic tongue. We just read the verse. So Allah wanted to send the Quran to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to challenge the people of Mecca and Quraysh at the time with their own language that they were so brilliant at.
Yes.
You know what? We're going to bring the same alphabet. We're going to that you make all this poetry and all that, and we're going to show you something that no one can even replicate with one word or even one.
So he's telling, thank you, Doctor, for clarifying this, because the Prophet ﷺ is telling Jibril alayhi salam, I'm not one of the guys that goes around reciting stuff. And Jibril is insisting that the iqra. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق. And this is another miracle that we're going to be talking about in our program later. But for sure, I wanted to clarify that our Prophet ﷺ was not a person who could read or write, but he didn't say ana ummi. And that would mean that Allah sent somebody down to do a job that he couldn't do. Some people even came up with the idea that, well, maybe he could read and write. But that is also false. The idea of staying with understanding from scholars and asking questions from scholars, this unfortunately has become like, I don't have time for that. I'll just go to the internet and get Sheikh Google to tell me everything, you know. So we really wanted to focus on this tonight to clarify that there are many things that we could make up or say without realizing it if we don't go to the scholars and ask them for clarification. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. And we always have to have a point of reference. You know, the Book of Allah, and then followed by the Sunnah Prophet ﷺ, and then the scholars, and not amana, or the true responsibility of verification and double verification, and make sure that the authenticity of what's being shared, that's really put an onus on the person who does that, because would be asked about this on the Day of Judgment. And again, if somebody doesn't know, Allahu A'lam is the best strategy.
That counts as when somebody says Allahu A'lam, they're not saying la ana arif, that means I know, or la arif, I don't know. But when you say Allahu A'lam, you're saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the all-knower of everything. So that counts as a right answer in any of the tests that I gave to the students. I always counted that as a right answer. And technically, and I said this in the beginning of the course for many years ago, 20 years ago when I was teaching, I said in the beginning of the course that if anybody answers any question on the test with Allahu Alam, and you write that out in Arabic, you write Allahu Alam, I will count that as a correct answer. And that meant that all they had to do is just answer every single one, Allahu Alam, Allahu Alam, Allahu Alam, and I would have given them 100. I would have given them 100. And students did take advantage of this to an extent that whenever they weren't sure, they would say Allahu Alam. And I love that. I love that because they learned the best lesson. You don't say something you're not sure of. You don't make up answers. Other religions have been destroyed by preachers and teachers saying and doing things with no reference point whatsoever. And this is against Islam. You don't have a reference point, say Allahu Alam. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox. Sorry about this.
No, that was very much eye-opening and humbling to hear from a teacher saying that Wallahu Alam. That is absolutely the right answer.
Yes,
I'll give you 100 for that, okay?
I'll take it. I'll take it.
And a star. And a star. See the stars behind the shit?
There's two little quick promos I want to do. We don't do advertising for any companies or profit-making things, but on nonprofits, we do sponsor things. We do help. We help raise funds for the program that we've been showing on the air is courtesy of Windows of Islam, windowsofislam.com. That's provided from them, and I really respect and this quality of the programs there that you can see and share with other people. So windowsofislam.com, you can go there and enjoy. But keep this in mind. Anybody, I don't care how much they spend in time, money, efforts, they're going to make mistakes when they try to translate the Quran to another language. And we heard one tonight when he said, if the person who is the owner of the universe, we would never say that Allah is a person. Even though that was kind of in passing and it was just like a general reference, we have to call it out and say, guys, no. But still, Windows of Islam has got some great videos over there. You would like to go and check those out. The second thing I'd like to mention is that we do have 4,000 domains. All right, guys? And this means we have a whole lot of traps out there, yeah, to catch the flies in, if you know what I mean. So we have all of these domains, and there are people who are coming to Islam through our efforts. And I really am excited to tell you that some today contacted us and wanted to know more. How can I get into Islam? And this is directly from watching programs just like this. So if you haven't shared this yet, we've only got 40 seconds left in this, but I will share with you that I also saw today a reminder from 10 years ago that somebody had left Islam but came back to Islam because we got clarification on one of our videos that we were making at that time. People do leave Islam when they don't really understand what it is, or if they get mixed up with these wrong notions. So let's all work together to encourage others to come back to Islam. Look at Islam again, but look at it from the standpoint of what it really teaches instead of what somebody said. Maybe they made a mistake, and we would encourage all of us to stay tuned and stay guided with
Guidance TV.
I love the way you say that.
You're watching The Newsroom, Islam Newsroom. The news you want when you want it, from the Islamic perspective.
Now we have some websites, alhamdulillah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Who